in 2018, already ramping up for our launch. So I'm just really excited to see all you guys again, and make sure you grab me today before y'all take off and say hi and give hugs and stuff. Or maybe we'll do what is the elbow thing? Yeah, we'll probably do the elbow thing today, because we don't want to spread the germs. But I just really wanted to say thank you guys so much for all your love and support, and I hope you guys all had Merry Christmases. If I don't get to see you, Happy New Year. But it's been great just being back here in the great state of Ohio. Actually, I just want to make one thing. So when we cross over in Buffalo, over the border, my wife looked at me this time and she goes, it just feels different being in America. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, I don't know. So we spent a minute talking about it. I'm like, we just know how everything works here. You just know, if you go there, that's what you can expect. And in Canada, it's just a little bit different than that. So that was kind of funny. But we've really enjoyed being back and visiting with family, and that's been a lot of fun. So, all right, I won't take any more time, so I'll turn it over to Bud.
Well, it is exciting, and I'm sure Eric will let you know that 2018 is going to be very, very exciting, because they're working at the church plant that will officially begin services later on in 2018, and that's going to be monumental. Cambridge is a community, I think it's on the west side of Toronto, and it's a growing community. They're hoping the next couple of years to build something like 2,500 new homes or something like that. It's just, the potential there is really, really amazing. So that's pretty exciting, and there will be an opportunity in the month of June, so save a week's vacation time to be a part of what been going on for 20 years now, called the Great Canadian Adventure, where there's usually one of our targets in Canada, one of our churches in Canada or ministries there, they target and for a week invite churches and individuals to come up and participate in that. Most recent we've had was Melissa Schott went up a couple of years ago and participated in that, and it was a great experience for her. This is probably not probably their finest bragging point, but the very first one they ever did, I was a part of that. They had me come up and do a soccer clinic for them, and they promoted that like crazy, and we did it at the University of Toronto in Mississauga, and it actually really was a pretty cool experience. But it was the first time I'd ever done a soccer clinic with a staff that I'd never met before. I always taken my own players, and like Dustin's there, he's done it for me, and my kids and my own players, and we'd all do a clinic and it'd go great. And this was one where my team was all from Maryland, and so it was kind of interesting. And the only two adults I had both knew nothing about soccer, nothing whatsoever. And so, but they were happy, wonderful. It was Ted and Elise, and their family was involved in it. But it was just great stuff. So, well, are you the kind of person who likes to count down tonight, like, the 10, 9, 8, 7, whatever, I forget the numbers, but whatever it is, and so, you can do that. Well, here's the challenge. Why don't you do something really difficult? After, when it hits the stroke of midnight, why don't you count down to next year's midnight? The 365, the hours and the seconds. Or here's even a bigger challenge. We all know that our calendar is based on the Gregorian calendar. That was in the 1500s was when we kind of went to that, from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian. And it's based on the solar revolution. You go from a point here and you go around the sun, and when you get back to point there, that's supposedly a year, right? Unfortunately, that's not exactly accurate, because it takes, like where we're standing right now, so set your watches. When we're here again next year at the same exact point in the universe, it'll be 365 days, 5 hours, 49 minutes, and 12 seconds. So why don't you count that one down and then see if you can keep track of where we're at. So just something fun to do. New Year's is always a great thing. And it's always at this time of year that a lot of people do reflections and then maybe make commitments or resolutions or whatever for the year to come. Most of us come to a point where we settle into that kind of concept. It's like, God is good. He meets our needs. Every one of us here today are a testimony to the fact that God has been faithful to us and that He is continually faithful to us. And He will continue to do that. Here's another verse that just kind of hits me on the overall way of looking at life, and that is from really good things going on there. This one would be our youth ministries along with our Sky Watchers and the boys ministries. So they meet on Wednesday nights as well. It has a lot of activities going on. Some of you knew that formerly was named Grace Verse. This again is just sampling of what goes on, but here's some of the young people involved, and some Ben Hare, as in the rabbit, and he's been helping out with us and coming on strong. Christmas Eve candlelight service, and to be honest with you, our attendance was way better than I anticipated it was going to be. The weather was not good. We've had tons of sickness the last couple weeks, and so I was really surprised, but we had a great turnout. That was really nice, and that's always a highlight. And then there's the Blue Days. I don't know, that's just up there, but a lot of really, really great things have gone on in 2017. Things can always be good and better, but there's lots of other stuff, and we can go through a list. Let's see if I have my people up here now. I think so. Here's the we all like Carl, and he was part of a lot of our ministries and very much involved with us. Clyde was not really a part of our church, Clyde Maybury, but I put him up here because most of you know and love him. His son Dale was a very integral part of our church. Maybe some of you don't realize this, but there was a extended period, it was at least 6 months, it may have been longer, that we sponsored Dale to go to the Central African Republic, and he served there for a while, and that was really a neat thing. But that family is very important. Obviously, Gene Boyne, who 1,000 people. And so when you have a speaker who's never spoken before, and you want them to get experience, that's maybe a little bit tough to do that one. And so they looked around and they said, we're looking for a positive situation, more of a normal situation, and for some reason they thought of us. So, and it's been a really, really good experience. This past year, some of you give a lot of money in 2017 to like charities and to things like that. So if you need your check back and you want to add a couple more zeros, I'm sure that can be helped, and we'll do that for you. But I didn't say that earlier because I was afraid somebody would actually do that. And so who knows? 2018 is just a higher general deduction thing. So last year I told you that it was kind of neat. I think we finished up like the last Sunday or the Sunday before, and I said, really, I don't need the drama. This year, I think we went even a little bit further. So keep praying that those needs are met. Very important stuff. For 2018, our emphasis is going to continue on those. So no one's saying we've arrived and we've solved all the problems of the world, but I think we're moving in the right directions and taking care of the things that we really care about the most. In the next bunch of weeks, and actually maybe the next couple of months, something that we're going to be doing during the morning service is we're going to feature every Sunday, almost every Sunday, we're going to feature one of our ministries. For instance, next week, we're going to take a few minutes in the morning service to feature our, what we used to call junior church. It's really more the elementary age students that are here on Sunday mornings. They have a program that's both Sunday school and church. It runs together. So we're going to have them share with you that ministry, what it does, who's involved in it, how it's going, what needs they might have. A lot of our ministries like that do have some needs. They could use some personnel. Usually when we say that, everybody cringes. It's like, oh no, I'm not good at that. I'm not a teacher. I'm not really good. I think you're going to find out that most of what the community people with us, we did that on Wednesday night, and I didn't take an official count or anything, but we generally have 75, 85 people or more at that. And the way to know that is when you come in, like when the pool closes and everybody comes in to get something to eat, it's like, this place is packed, when we're in there. And it's really neat. And there's a lot of community people that come. Some of our kids invite their friends and their parents come with them. We're not going to do very well at the compassion for people. We can show kindness and do acts of goodness for them, but we want to be able to bring that back to Christ and bring honor to Him. We looked at this last year. We're going to use the second half of really the final third of this, of the verses in Matthew 22. Remember the question that the lawyer asked Jesus about what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus replied and said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The significant verses, part of that answer that Jesus gave came from Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, and other places where God told Israel that you need to love the Lord your God with all your heart and your strength and your soul. And that's something that we want to develop in you as much as we possibly can. Just a love and a ministry for God. Here's something that John MacArthur once said, and that is, the person who truly loves the Lord with all his heart, with all his soul, with all his mind, is the person who trusts God and obeys Him. And that trust and obey, especially the obeying Him, is seen and worked out in the lives of what we do and minister to other people. It's so very, very important that we do much more than just come together and rally each other and enjoy God, but that we have to live that out among other people when we go out there. And that brings me to the purpose of the church. The purpose of the church is twofold. It's evangelization, yes. It's also edification. The evangelization is reaching out. It's winning souls. And when you do that, then there's growth that takes place. And sometimes even numerical growth. I've always been one that if everybody in the city of Rittman got saved and no one came to the Grace Brethren Church, they all went to the Baptist church or they all went to the Methodist church, with us. Each one of us growing as much as we possibly can in the days to come, spiritually. So we're going to continue as much as possible the things that we do that are good and things that honor Christ and help people. Those are the things, I think, around missions, the things around our children and youth ministry, and reaching out to other people. When we did this last year, when we talked about the passion for God, that we did a couple studies, a couple months. We're going to be trying to look at some compassion kind of things. Next Sunday, we're going to start a study on a morning service in the book of 1 Thessalonians, the letter to the Thessalonians. I see that as a very, very much a model church that's done a lot of really good things, had an impact all around their area. So we're going to look at that and try to see some of that and make it come to today and relate. In our evening studies on Sundays, this will start in about 2 weeks. We're going to go through, in the Bible, there's probably 30 to 40 places where there's distinct blessings that are given. And we're going to try to look at those and see how all blessings come from God. And God blesses even when you don't sneeze. So we're going to look at some of those other blessings and see how they relate to us today, and what does God want us to do. So here's some things we want people to do in 2018. Really we want to encourage personal, individual growth, spiritual growth for you. There's several ways to do that. One is obviously, if you've never done it before, or even if you have, to maybe get into a good read through the Bible program. There's several. We have actually out on the Welcome Center booklets that will begin tomorrow that help you read through the Bible in a year. So if you need that, grab one right now. Not right now, wait till we're done. But grab one and take that and use it. If you've never done that before, let me just tell you that at times you'll get bogged down. And there may be times when you just can't even find a minute or two to do that, to read the Bible. My suggestion would be, if that happens to you, don't beat yourself up. Just jump back in wherever you're supposed to be and go on and get through it. If you've never done it before and you only ended up reading 73% of the Bible this year, that's still a victory. So enjoy that, do that. If that sounds overwhelming to you, but you want to do something, I can give you some other ideas that maybe are a little bit easier to do. We also, for all of us, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but I'm pretty sure if I asked, is there anybody here who is just totally satisfied and maybe think that they too much pray? I'm going to guess that nobody's going to raise their hand like, yeah, I find that I just pray way too much. What's wrong with me? No, no one does that. But let's try to have a real emphasis in prayer, because God does respond to prayer, and there's nothing that we're going to do that's going to succeed if it isn't bathed in prayer. And so, let's work on that. And then for compassion ministries, I've been reading a really good book on, it's written by two authors. One is a Christian psychologist. The other is a pastor. And in the whole book, I don't even remember the title. I got 5 pages to go, and I don't remember the title of the book. But it's about anger. And one of the things that it pointed out was that most big-time compassion ministries probably started because somebody got angry about something and wanted to do something about it. Anger can be good, and depending on what you do with it, it can be very good. For instance, all of you would remember Candace Lightner in 1980. They were on a side street, and a intoxicated driver ran over her 13-year-old daughter and killed her. She was really, really angry. She did the grieving thing. She never attacked the person who was responsible for this, but she continued to be angry, so she started a ministry or a group called it was called MAD, there you go. Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. We had, for a while, we had a group here in Rittman at the school, a chapter of that, and I was a part of that at the time. Over the years, the MAD organization has been very responsible for a lot of laws and has saved thousands of lives. And it's all because somebody got angry and did something compassionate. Another one, and I don't remember the lady's name. Her name is Jane, but she was the one involved in the Roe versus Wade abortion thing. And I just heard a thing about her because she passed away this year in 2017. But somewhere along the line, I heard a recording of her talking where she said for years she felt personally responsible for millions of deaths of babies, and it plagued her. But then she came to know Christ as her Savior. And she said, I feel totally forgiven, but I'm doing everything I can to stop people from having abortions. That was a case of, again, somebody being greatly moved and starting something in compassion. I don't want you to have a disaster happen and you get angry and start some new thing because of it. But, wasn't it Robert Shore that used to always say, see a need and meet it? And it's as simple as that. If you see something that's just not right, then do something about it. It's really important. There's a couple Bible verses that would go along with that, and I'm extrapolating these out. And this is the Matthew 5 passage. You can also read a very similar thing in Luke chapter 6. But Jesus was talking about doing the things that are right, and he says, if you love those who love you, what reward will you get? What good is it? And he says, do not even the pagans do that? And they do. In Luke 6, he says, the sinners do that too. We need to do more than just reach our own little clan or clique or whatever we have. We need to reach out to other people as well and minister to people. In Matthew chapter 25, Jesus tells a story about things that were done and helped out to different situations, and the king, and it means Christ, will reply, I tell you the truth, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. And the list of things that he used as that illustration, you remember, he said to him, I was hungry and you fed me. I was a stranger and you visited me. I was in need of clothing and you clothed me. I was in prison and you came and visited me. And then he said to them, if you did that to anybody else, whoever else was in need, the most insignificant people, it's as if you did it for Christ himself. Here's another one to add to that. Anyone who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do it, then that's sin. That's sin. We've all had that, maybe on a much lesser experience. We're driving somewhere really in a hurry, and there's somebody on the side of the road with a flat tire, and your first thought is, I should help them. And next thing you know, you just zip by and it's like, well, someone else will come, or they have a cell phone, they can call somebody. That's a mild kind of one, but there are times when we need to take a look at what's going on in people's lives and say, I think I can help them. I can do that. By the way, that's not hard to do. It's actually easy to do. It's just a matter of leaving our own comfort zone and doing it. Another verse that I wanted to talk about, just relationships, and that is, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Again, I'm thinking compassion, caring for other people. Again, it's easy to do. The question that the disciples asked in the upper room when Jesus instituted the communion service and said, one of you are going to betray me. All the other disciples kept saying, is it me, Lord? Is it me? That's a great question. Whenever something comes up that's questionable, if it's challenging, if it's convicting, you and I should be the first ones to ask privately in our hearts, is it me, Lord? Am I right or am I wrong in my approach to this? So here's my hope for 2018. I would like to see you and me be sincere, genuine, transparent followers of Christ who are patient, kind, good, and gentle to everyone. Let's have prayer. Lord, thank you so much for the opportunities that you lay ahead of us as a church and as individual followers of yours. Thank you for just the ability that you will give to us to meet people's needs, the abilities that you will give to us to stand together and help others in times of difficulties and crisis. Thank you for the opportunities we'll have to share joys and victories together as well. Just like any other year, Lord, we have no idea what to predict for 2018, except for that you will be faithful throughout the whole year. We are so grateful for that, Lord. Thank you for your ministry to us. Thank you for the opportunities you give through us. And we pray, Lord, as we commit the days ahead, we would love to see you receive honor and glory, and many people come to know Christ, and many other people's needs met here in our community, all around the world. Thank you for ministering to us so that we can serve you. And we want you to have the glory. In Christ's name, amen.